afternoon. I'm Michael Malice, and let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us an episode months in the making. We have with us the president of Liberland, Vít Jedlicka. I asked for your card so I pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
Liberland is something that I have intentionally done a little bit of research and not much on, because this is a project that a lot of people I know are very interested in, and it also sounds completely insane. So, as briefly as possible, can you explain to us what Liberland is?
Liberland is the result of us searching for a piece of land where we could do an exercise in a state building, and it is something that started some 5-6 years ago when we sat down with our friend and we realized that changing the politics from within is impossible, that we have to start changing the world by just setting a good example. And we just decided we're going to do it. We looked into the world map, we Googled a little bit, and we found the best possible legal place for starting a new country. And now we're working on it. It's now 620,000 people that are registered on our website with interest to get citizenship. We are having offices in 110 countries around the world. And we're building up a stronghold, diplomatic stronghold.
So let me explain what that is. So there is a small area between Serbia and Croatia, right?
Yes.
That you have now declared as a micronation.
It's not a micronation because there is a couple more than just a couple thousand of people that claim the nationality. So we are not a micronation anymore if you consider we are bigger than Montenegro, where I just came from, Malta or Iceland, right? So I don't like the term micronation because it doesn't really fit. We're a nation. We're kind of a very global nation, and we're claiming statehood.
Right, but physically, it's very small.
It is 3 times bigger than Monaco.
But Monaco, I mean, it's like saying, like, I have a bug that's 3 times bigger than an ant. That doesn't make it big. It's still small.
It's a small country, and I think it's perfect size. I think it's this right size of the country, actually.
Well, you do certainly sound like a politician. My country is the perfect size. So I think the question people have is, what is the legal status of Liberland?
Well, there are nice 2 legal studies written by completely independent jurists here in the U.S., actually, Michigan Journal of International Law and Chicago Journal of International Law. It's some 38 pages that you can read exactly about our statehood and about our claim. Since then, we are building up on that status that we have gained from very beginning, and that status was basically given by the fact that once we declared Liberland, everybody was claiming this piece of land is Serbia. And if you look into Google Maps, you will still see that piece of land is Serbia. If you look into open source maps, you will see something different. We already marked there. But Serbia stated only 10 days after Liberland was established that they don't mind creation of Liberland. It was not formed on the territory of Serbia. It was very important legal help from their side. I don't think we could expect any more help from Serbia. And Croatia's approach is slightly different. If they will ever claim the territory of Liberland, they will actually lose the border dispute with Serbia, and that's why they never claimed it. They never officially incorporated Liberland in any of their maps, and it is a situation which is ongoing now for 28 years. And I think it's a great place to start a new country, not just because of this anomaly in the political arena, but of course because of the region, which is really one of those kind of forgotten regions in Europe that need a great economic boost by building something like New Monaco or New Hong Kong.
Those are great models to follow. Yeah. But I looked online, and it seems that the governments of Serbia and Croatia are not exactly receptive to recognizing Liberland as an autonomous country.
Well, Serbia stated at the beginning again that they don't mind creation of Liberland, which was a very good statement. And from that on, we've got very good relations with at least the local municipalities. The mayor of Apatin, the closest city next to Liberland, is our good friend. He also holds the highest state award of Liberland. He's always available if we need any kind of help. We're actually building we're helping to develop the free trade zone, which is in Apatin under our banner. So that's something that will be, I think, big news in a couple of weeks to come. We're developing. We're planning on development of local airport. That's another summer project basically, which is just starting. So we're very established in Serbia. We take it as a base for our operations for now, and they were very friendly always. Croatia is a little bit different story. Okay, they were not that friendly always. There we've had hundreds of people being arrested going from Croatia or from Serbia to Liberland, which is also nice recognition of the fact that this is not part of Croatia. If Croatia arrests a Croatian person that wants to go from Croatia to Liberland, that gives you an idea that they actually recognize it as an international border, right? If the people actually end up in the jail for illegally crossing the border. And that's one thing. Okay, they don't know how to deal with us. They are still kind of probably assessing what kind of benefit can we bring to them. But we've got also some great fans. The third most popular politician in the country, Ivan Pernar, is our great supporter. We can always rely on his presence during any bigger event in Liberland. So I'm quite excited that we have some receptive Croatians with us.
But how many people physically live within the borders of Liberland?
That's the deal, right? Like the Croatia's policy on dealing with Liberland was to physically arrest everybody that would basically get inside of the land.
Okay.
And that's the policy since Liberland started. That's why we need more international support to deal with this blockade. And we want to also have a firm plan. And this at this stage, we don't mind, actually, because it gives us a time to develop whatever we are developing. And we are on to developing the most modern governance structure on the planet. That's our target. We've teamed up with the EOS.io technology. Have you heard about EOS? It's the 5th biggest cryptocurrency, I think.
Oh,
yes,
number 5, right after
it's something Ethereum you heard, right?
Of course, yes.
Yes, and EOS was kind of a next answer to the Ethereum generation of software.
Okay.
And it's more like a governance. It's like a political system on blockchain, something that we want to utilize for our own governance. And we want to show to the world what the combination of very good Republican setup and the latest technology can do.
Sure. So to answer my question, how many people are within the borders of Liberland? It's 0.
It's 0 right now.
And if anyone goes there, they're going to be arrested.
That's the situation right now. But that's why we're building this floating Liberland. We're actually making this settlement for roughly 120 people on the boats. It's 90% finished. It just needs some polishing, and we will have a nice party place which will be parked right in front of Liberland in the international waters, out of reach of Croatia police, yet a serious sign of our intention to settle Liberland peacefully.
Where do you physically live?
In the summer, I really plan to actually be on that particular settlement
right
as much as possible, because we had a child in the spring. I was more in Prague this time, but otherwise I'm usually on planes traveling around the world.
Okay, where is your underwear? What country is your underwear in?
That's in Prague right now.
Okay, Prague. Okay, so
but for the summer, it's actually moving to Liberland. We've got a nice venue there. It's a beautiful summer there. There are sandy beaches all around the place. Nice people coming, visiting. Like hundreds of people a week are going to be there during this summer.
So did you grow up in Prague, in Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia?
Yes.
Do you know this guy Simon?
Which one?
Simon.
Yeah. This is your friend?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, no, he was with us for the 2 days.
I'm not surprised that you know him. Yeah, everyone knows Simon. He's the best, and he refuses to co-host the show. What nation do you foresee Liberland having a culture closest to?
Singapore.
Why Singapore?
Singapore is one of those places which were able to take itself out of poverty completely in 60 years. It was in 1960s. It was 3 times more. 3 times poorer than Czech Republic. Now it's 3 times wealthier per person. And it's one of those places where you can see that freedom works.
Are you an admirer of Lee Kuan Yew?
Yes, he's done a good job.
And he also ruled with an iron fist, though.
He did.
Is that something you aspire to yourself?
I mean, I think the leadership is important part of the creation of a society. But again, I want to decentralize it.
So let me understand how this works. You declare a country. Croatia, the Serbs and the Croats hate each other. Is that still the case, that they really hate each other?
Pretty much, yeah.
My friend got screwed out of immigration in America because she emigrated from the former Yugoslavia many years ago with her family. And she talked to her family, went to an immigration lawyer, and he said, when you go in front of the judge, just say you're Croatian, you're going to get asylum, and everything's going to be fine. And the judge goes, where are you from? He's like, I am Serbian. And he goes, you mean you're Croatian, right? And he refused to say it. And she was on the deportation list for like 15 years. And now she just recently got citizenship.
Really?
So, but I mean, the animosity between those two. I mean, are you dealing with both governments?
Well, in a way, yes, but it is a interesting situation. But you know, on the outside, they're kind of fighting still, and sometimes they make some friendship deals. But of course, the establishment, as usual, it's hand in hand. If you look in a little bit deeper into the situation, and this is very interesting situation with Liberland, right? Like Liberland is actually kind of an offspring of their fight for the border, which was created. And for Croatia, it's interesting. They will either lose with Serbia, or they will lose with Liberland, which can be one of their biggest wins, economical wins in the century.
But so you're saying you're flying around the world.
Yeah.
You don't have a tax base, do you?
Right now, I just moved out of Dubai for my residency, tax residency. So I was based there for more than a year just to try out how their kind of residency program works. The Liberland businesses are based in Liberland. That's another thing. Of course, the residence in Liberland is now a bit difficult, but I think with the floating Liberland, it will be more and more achievable and doable physically as well.
But I mean, right now, who's paying for your flights when you're traveling to like the UN?
It's mostly Liberland government budget of Liberland. So we've got a Ministry of Finance, and they are having a budget.
Now, where's that money coming from?
That's usually crypto, right? We are 90% crypto since very beginning of the operation.
But who's giving you this crypto? Is my question.
It's Liberlanders. There is 620,000 people that support the country. They pay the voluntary taxes.
Okay.
And if, of course, there are sort of donations actually right now. And from beginning we were collecting them. And if every single Liberlander paid the Liberland government $50 a month, we would not have any budgetary issues. I assure you.
So how can I become a citizen of Liberland if I wanted to?
Yes, of course. It takes a couple minutes.
Don't give me this, but of course. It doesn't, I mean, would I still be an American citizen?
Yes.
Would I be able to get a Liberland passport?
Of course.
Would that passport work at JFK?
Well, I actually made it once here for the inauguration of Trump with Liberland passport. It was a very special occasion when I was invited by U.S. military for the inauguration of Trump. So they basically stamp it and let me go. But so far, Liberland is not recognized by U.S. government. But it will work with all the governments where we are making some sort of diplomatic business. And there are a number of them, 6 governments now that we are actively involved with in some sort of negotiations. And it's very likely that you will be able to use, or you will have to use that particular passport of ours to travel into the country.
So what countries, the 6 that you're negotiating with?
That's something which I cannot tell you right now. But I can tell you that we made a nice deal with Somaliland. That Liberland passport is recognized there for traveling. You don't even need to have a visa, unlike the other passports. And Somaliland is a very interesting case, by the way. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Okay.
You could explain to the listeners.
That's a country which is also struggling for international recognition. We felt very strong about supporting them in their effort. We went there 2 years ago for the first round of negotiation, and we actually came there and signed the deal. The MOU with the government. It's bigger than United Kingdom. There is 5 million people living there. It has enormous mineral resources, and it's not recognized by anybody on the planet. But they are getting there as well. The Benyan government just invited them for a very official state visit. And the Somalia government cancelled the diplomatic relations with that country. So they are getting there. They are getting recognized more and more by the international community because they deserve it. They're much more democratically functioning country, 100 times safer than Somalia. Yet the world recognizes Somalia and not Somaliland for some strange reason.
Do you think President Trump should send Ilhan Omar back to Somalia?
I'm not commenting on those particular domestic issues.
What relations do you have with, like, let's suppose, like the UK or Germany? Do you have like connections with them?
Our Secretary of State, Tariq Abbasi, is also representative of British Queen. So I would say that's a very interesting connection that we have there. I think it's kind of one of the strongest support that we can get from the UK, the fact that one of their representatives helps us on this very high level with the whole Liberland.
Now, if you go to the Liberland website, which is liberland.org, correct? It talks about you're the democratically elected president.
Yes.
What does it take to vote in Liberland? How are their elections held?
Well, that particular election was created or was being held like a minute after the country was declared.
Okay.
So that was at the time when there were only 4 people. We were actually inside of Liberland, and if you go to Reuters, you will be able to see that election. So the 3 people voted. I abstained. And I become president at that time. But I believe that, the people that are applying for citizenship, technically voting with their feet every single day, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them, do give the legitimacy to what we are doing. And despite the fact that we haven't held another elections yet, the fact that we've got such a huge immigration proves that we are doing things in the right way. But our next plan is to turn completely to blockchain, to build up this governance on EOS.io technology, which will make us, I would say, technologically quite advanced country in terms of our own management and governance.
How are you saying that they're immigrants if they're not physically going there?
They apply for immigration, right? That's the thing. I think, can you imagine that at the very beginning of Liberland there were 80 and or one day also 120,000 people applied for immigration in one single day. I think it's much more than the US would ever have.
Sure.
In one day. So we're like million times smaller territory. And we had such a strong interest in the citizenship. And
But
I think it tells you something.
It doesn't, because I don't understand how they're immigrants. Have you approved all of those people?
No, we haven't. We registered them as our diaspora. And and people that actually want to become citizens, they have to get actively involved in what we are doing. So
How is it? Isn't a diaspora where you formerly lived in a place and then were spread out throughout the world?
it's like the Jews. I mean, they have been without a country for thousands of years.
Sure.
Spread out, sharing the same ideas about how the world should be governed, how the state should be minimal, that taxes should be voluntary at best, and that there should be very little regulations. And those people basically share this belief, and we turned it into national movement.
Okay. What do you see as, I mean, it seems that for a nation to get a sense of international legitimacy, there are many enormous hurdles to get through, right? There's still some nations that are not recognized by the UN, and it took a long time for North and South Korea to be recognized by the UN because, China and Russia were fighting for a long time, because then you have the idea that reunification is never going to happen. So, I mean, what's the last country that basically did become recognized internationally?
Well, I was just in Montenegro. That was the third one. I think there was the South Sudan was the last one, actually internationally recognized country. So yes, there is. It's not that easy, but on the other hand, Liberland is in this very special position in which we are not separatists. We don't have to declare independence from anybody. We didn't take anybody's land. We didn't infringe on anybody's borders, and that gives us a great advantage. This way we are much more likely to actually open up dialogue with other countries if we are not falling in any of these brackets. And that's what I felt will be our big benefit once we will be actually negotiating the recognition of Liberland with the international community.
So, I mean, but who do you actually have to sit down and talk to?
Well, we're talking with other foreign governments, and that our partners are foreign heads of states, foreign ministers. Those are the people that are our counterparts.
Do they take your call?
Of course.
What do you mean, of course? You're telling me you can just get on the phone with whoever you want?
Not whoever I want, but these people that are actually representing us, and for example, as I mentioned, we've got the representative of Queen working as a Secretary of State of Liberland. Of course, they can open doors not just to Her Majesty, but also to other people around the world that are in the position of power. And again, we are not threat to anybody. And there is a lot of ideas and projects on the UN level how there should be innovation on the governance in the governance arena, right? There are all these projects and millions of dollars being funded for like a kind of innovation in terms of governance, and we are doing it, right? We're actually going with the flow. We are doing it, applying it ourselves directly, and again, actually not hurting anybody in the way. There were no dead people in the process of formation of Liberland, and we have only created economic benefit to the region, not a single cost to anybody in the process. And
you're an enormous threat, because if you become a free zone, a free market zone, just like Hong Kong or something else within this area, and all these businesses are going to be headquartered in Liberland instead of those other countries, they're going to be losing enormous amount of taxation.
That's not a valid argument, actually, because you already have all these free zones and tax-free places, So we are not really a big innovation on that level. Anybody can go and start his corporation, even from Croatia or Serbia, start his corporation in Hong Kong, right? If they're not in a physical business. If they're in physical business, they should come directly to the Apatin Free Trade Zone. We'll help them, because that's a great opportunity. It's one of the very last free trade zones actually in Europe where there is no VAT, no import-export tax. So that's there. And also, we don't take credit for building that. That's the Serbian government that has made that possible. The European Union will actually damage that. But I don't think we are a threat. We are going to be a great... there is like $23 billion pledged for development of Liberland. We will be a great source of financing and development for the whole region, and there is no doubt about it.
So this sounds to me almost like a European version of the Free State Project. I'm sure you're familiar with the Free State Project here in the States, are you not?
I don't think so, actually. I don't think that it fits, right? The Free State Project is an idea to politically... take over one of the U.S. states and turn it into libertarian state, right?
Sure, yeah, somewhat.
But we are something new, right? We are a nation. It's a different level of dealing with the problem.
But you're also just described the diaspora, and you're saying that diaspora is of people who are like-minded, liberty-minded, right?
Yes, and of course in the Free State Project there is many people of Liberland diaspora.
Right. So, but the point is, the parallels being, what's the motto of the country?
Live and let live.
Right. It's so very similar to kind of live free or die. So the idea is these people who you would, what's the demonym for someone from Liberland?
Demonym?
Someone who lives there. What's the term?
Liberlander.
Yeah. A Liberlander. What defines a Liberlander? Is it not an ideology?
It is.
How would you describe that ideology?
Well, it is a true belief in freedom, the adherence of those basic principles, and I think the live and let live explains it the best, right? So, yes, we are can be closely associated with the Free State Project, but we are simply a nation, and we are global. Right now, we are actually present in all countries of the world. There is at least one person, even in Vatican, that claims the nationality.
In North Korea?
In North Korea, we also have couple.
No, you don't.
Yes.
How?
Yes, they managed to get out of North Korea and apply for citizenship, and I believe there are some of these miners of Monero that also applied for citizenship from North Korea. So there are people that share the values even out there, right? And no doubt that North Korea particularly would need more Liberlanders.
Sure. I mean, I don't think they would do very well in North Korea, but that's a whole separate issue. What nation do you foresee Liberland having a culture closest to?
Liechtenstein. I think that Hans Adam has proven to be one of those libertarian leaders of the modern era, and his book, The State for Third Millennia, is a great inspiration for me.
Let me take a second to tell you guys about Wix. If you go to letthatbeyourwelcome.com, Wix will give you 10% off any premium plan. There's a link at the bottom. What's Wix? You should have your own website, whoever is listening to this show. Even you, Stephen. With Wix, you can start from scratch or choose from over 500 templates. And how it works, it's the most innovative drag and drop website builder. You add text, you add images, videos, whatever you want. You don't need to know how to do it. The program does it for you. You can even build your own site using their ADI, Artificial Design Intelligence. You answer a few simple questions and they create a website for you. Look at letthatbeyourwelcome.com. It was easy. We put together a site for the show so you can see what Wix can do. Over 150 million people have built their website using Wix. So go to letthatbeyourwelcome.com, click the link at the bottom, you get 10% off any premium plan. Put your resume on there. It's good for your business. Want to make a page about podcasts you like, whatever you want, Wix will be the place for you. One of my favorite sponsors here is BlueChew.com. BLUE, like the color, chew, like chewinggum.com. If you go to BlueChew.com and use promo code Malice, you get your first order free and only $5 shipping. What is it? It's chewables with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. And these chewables can work faster than pills. You could take them on a full stomach. You could take them on an empty stomach. Here's how it works. You don't got to visit a doctor. You don't got to have the awkward conversation. You don't have to wait in line in a pharmacy. You connect with a BlueChew.com affiliated physician, a real doctor. You get a prescription. The online consult is free. If you qualify, you get prescribed online quickly. And then it comes to your house in discreet packaging. If you go to BlueChew.com, BLUEChew.com, and use promo code Malice, it's just $5 shipping. That's like the price of a coffee. And you could have fun. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get back to the show.
My dad went there and he said wherever you go to get food, the portions are just enormous. That I think isn't it have like per capita like the most? It's extremely wealthy by European standards.
It is. It's the wealthiest country on the planet.
What do you think? Not on the planet.
It is per capita.
Isn't like Brunei the wealthiest per capita?
I don't think so.
Okay, but why does it do so well?
Of course, the Prince family is influencing the average there. But the average people also are quite wealthy, and the salaries are higher than in Switzerland. It's the gem of the Alps.
Would you ever consider having an aristocracy in Liberland?
Not really. We've got a meritocracy, so people basically that have contributed more to Liberland have more merits, and that gives them a special status.
So when was this country founded?
It was the 13th of April 2015.
Okay, so 4 years.
Birthday of Thomas Jefferson, by the way.
All right. Well, I'm not a fan of Thomas Jefferson, as you probably know. I'm a Hamiltonian. And if you're building a nation, you're more of a Hamilton. From what you're describing, you don't want Liberland to be an agrarian country.
No.
You want skyscrapers. Yes, that's the Hamilton vision.
Well, but I would really like the free market to decide how Liberland would look like. So we had this architectural competition. If you go to the if you just Google Liberland architectural competition, and you see that we completely open up the possibilities, and there were 82 architectural studios that applied for the competition, and we had some 12 finalists, and their broad visions. I really wish we had sooner or later some nice virtual Liberland in place where people can actually come in and they can start developing the properties, at least in the virtual space, so we can actually show the investors what they're going to be. But I don't want to influence it. There is not going to be any urban planning committee by the state. We are with Patrick Schumacher, who is the CEO of Zaha Hadid. Maybe you heard about the company. They are doing these amazing airports and stadiums and all of these things. One of the most futuristic designs. They were the ones that organized the competition, and he is the mastermind of free market urban planning, so I pretty much rely on his expertise in this area.
Is there a Liberland First Lady?
Yes.
Does she think you're a crazy person?
Of course she does. She is not alone, but she is a good supporter of what we're doing.
Well, I don't understand. So you were married. When did you get married?
I'm not married. I really would like to marry her in Liberland once the situation gets.
How long have you been in a relationship with her?
6 years now.
Okay, so you were together for 2 years, and you sit her down, and you say to her, "Hey, I've got some news," right? And she's thinking, okay, he's going to get on his knee, and instead of getting on your knee, say, "I'm going to invent a new country, and I'm going to be the president." What was her reaction?
She went with me. She was one of the 4 people that were.
She's one of the voters.
Yeah. She voted for me at the time.
Okay.
Sometimes she jokes around the fact that she will revoke her vote, but I think that's the traditional home kind of fight.
But is she dedicated to these kind of freedom principles as well?
Yeah. So do you think I would date somebody who wouldn't share these principles?
Of course.
I wouldn't.
Why not?
It wouldn't work.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
You do. Okay, but I mean, like, if you date socialists regularly?
I mean, the two choices aren't anarchists and socialists, and I'm a New Yorker, so I don't really have much choice.
Not for me.
Okay.
I'm into libertarian girls.
Okay, so if that's the case, if you're in a relationship with a libertarian girl, that odds are that she's more extreme than you.
That it's not probably, well, I think we're quite even in the way. She's not that actively involved. She's been always with the movement.
Okay.
She has never like actively been publishing or anything, but she's by the way great.
So did you meet through like libertarian circles?
In a way, yes. She actually came to the Christmas party that I was throwing in for the libertarian movement at my house.
Okay, in Prague.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of who's that? Who's the prime minister of Czech Republic?
Well, that's Mr. Babiš.
Yeah. What do you think of him?
No, he knows me very well. He always screams my surname if he meets me.
Okay.
So he is. We know each other, and I was one of the guys that was kind of running the some of the campaigns and was explaining how the EU subsidies work, how his business is based on that crazy stuff. And right now, 5 years later, the things that we were kind of showing to the people became mainstream. It's a very interesting story, by the way, right?
Well, not as interesting as the story with his son.
Well, that's another crazy one, right?
So for those who don't know, his son, the head of Czech Republic, his son said that he was kidnapped by his father. And his father had said, well, no, my son is a crazy person and was in the mental hospital.
Yes.
And this was a big scandal.
Yes, but of course, like there is a truth a little bit on both sides. But of course, like the fact that it's a long story, and I just cut it short. It's amazing what the state can do in terms of subsidizing the second wealthiest person in the country, right? There was a $2 million subsidy written in the name of his son, right, while he is the second most richest person, and yet still the taxpayers actually go and pay for his private home. It's an amazing story.
Do you know about this group? So his party is called ANO,
yes.
Meaning yes. ANO, what's the full name?
That's it.
ANO, it would be better though. It's ANO something.
Budalip, yes.
Yeah. And there's another group that called themselves ANO, we will troll the European Parliament.
Yeah, you're following the European election quite closely.
Well, because assignment, I followed the Czech politics. So there was a trolling party that basically had a similar name.
And by the way, the trolling party pledged to recognize Liberland.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, they got enough of the vote that they're actually getting money from either the EU or the Czech government now.
You know what's the sad story? Is that according to statistical review, people didn't vote for it purposefully.
Right, but that's
like at all. They had like maybe a couple hundred people voting for them purposefully, but the rest of the people just messed it up.
Yeah, because they got 1% of the vote by having the name similar enough.
And because there is complete correlation between the amount of votes of ANO and ANO vytrolíme Evropský parlament, that you can find out actually it's not a coincidence. Simply there is a same amount of stupid people across all the regions in Czech Republic that would just confuse two things that are completely impossible to confuse, but it doesn't,
But it's beautiful. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? I know you're a president and obviously aspiring dictator. What are your thoughts about democracy as a whole?
I'm not a big fan.
Everyone says they're for it until they're in, and it's like, all right, we're shutting this door behind me.
No, I was never a big fan because you can see it always leads to more socialism. You cannot do anything about it, and that's why we have this meritocracy in Liberland. Basically, the people that pay taxes make the decisions. But we call it double democracy because we also give the people that are citizens the possibility to veto the decisions by the government. So basically, like the corporation, which has a Congress also, is in check by the majority of citizens. And that's something that we learn from Switzerland that works very well. Not the referendum. The referendums even in Switzerland are crazy. Yeah. People proposing different kind of crap. But the fact that people can get rid of the things that the government does, I think it's very valuable. And that's something that has to be also tested on some real life example, preferably in Liberland.
So let me ask you some very obvious questions that I'm sure you get all the time. If you like liberty so much, why don't you move to Somalia?
Well, we made a deal with Somaliland. What more would you like me to do?
Who will build the roads in Liberland?
Well, I hope private investors. And that's a great question, by the way, in France, right? Like almost all the highways are private in one of the most socialist countries in the world.
And that's why you have, don't you think that how does that feed into the Yellow Jacket movement?
Well, I don't understand Yellow Jacket movement at all. Frederick Bastiat is probably turning in the grave.
If I saw you gave Ron Paul a official citizenship
Yes, he got the passport as well.
and the passport. So how many Liberland passports are in existence?
A couple hundred, but only delivered to Liberland diplomats. We are not distributing general passports yet.
What does someone have to do to become a Liberland diplomat?
Have the predispositions for it, has the willingness, and being able to help our diplomatic movement. I'm here actually with Thomas Walls, our foreign minister as well here in New York, and he's the one taking care of our diplomatic offices around the world. It's a lot of work, by the way, right? We are more present in more than 100 countries, so wherever you can think of, there is always an organized group of Liberlanders that are striving for recognition of Liberland.
Are you ever worried he's going to take you out in a coup?
No.
Well, I mean, you should be worried. I mean, this is hubris talking, isn't it?
No, I'm not worried. We're very well organized in the sense that we're working for the same goal, so it's not like there is some sort of competition in that.
Well, I mean, people get power hungry all the time. This is one of the aspects of government that is the most.
But that's the cool thing about Liberland, right? The matter of the fact is, once we launch this EOSIO ecosystem, I will actually come out of the game completely, in a sense that I would like to only keep the
title,
veto power, and basically the title. But the real decisions will be made by the people, of course, by the taxpayers that will be voting the members of Congress, and those members of Congress will be actually acting independently financed, and together they will make the critical decisions.
So, are you meeting with the UN and people? I mean, how many other of these aspiring nations are there currently right now?
Not that much of a competition, which is kind of a surprise to me, right? And there is Somaliland out there. There are a couple more countries that are, but not as too many serious efforts has been done on that particular field. And I think it's pity, right? Everybody is starting startups, and nobody is doing the startup countries, and it's an advantage for us because we don't have that much competition, but I think we're very close to the movement where there will be much more startups, at least in the digital arena. And the EOS is one of them. It's a kind of a digital jurisdiction. Anybody can join in, and it has a system of courts. And all of these things, we want to expand on it and build it with Liberland as well. So there will be a strong electronic Liberland with everything that you can think of in a digital way. And the registry of companies, the registry of ships, everything in one package. And then there will be a separate fight for the territory itself, which might take a couple of years.
Isn't it true that anytime you have any kind of secession movement, that it leads to slavery?
No, that's not true. No, I would disagree with that. There are secession movements that lead to less freedom, unfortunately. Some of them might be happening in Europe now, but usually it's always better for the two parties involved if there is a competition in governance. People can then decide if they're actually going to live in the one country or another, and then the countries compete over the taxation system, which I think is healthy.
So one of the things that I talk about in my work that I think a lot of Americans don't understand is the press in the States is really depraved and evil in many ways, and they're also lazy. And they basically want to say Trump is the same thing as Bolsonaro, and he's the same thing as Farage, and the same thing as Jimmy Atkinson in Sweden, Swedish Democrats, and Viktor Orban in Hungary. Many of these nationalist parties in your corner of Europe, they actually do have kind of quasi-Nazi roots. Is that not correct?
I don't think it's a fair argument. Actually, I don't think that. I mean, like with Orban trying to portray him as sort of some.
No, I mean Jobbik. I mean to his right, you have the Jobbik party in Hungary.
Yeah, but it doesn't fit, I mean, the National Socialism and these national movements, okay, there can be some interlap, but right now I think it's just a faulty kind of putting faulty stickers on people. And right now it's really kind of this this globalism, which is trying to push us into globalizing and into making a European superstate against some of these national movements. And sometimes, of course, they are a little bit more But there is not a single like a racist or somebody that would be judging according to the faith. Really, those people, even people in Hungary, if you look into I think they're really against illegal immigration, which I think it's a fair point. But of course, I have a lot of haters in libertarian arena as well for that. But sometimes I'm also, we don't have a completely liberal policy in Liberland. We want to actually know who is coming, and we want to know a little bit of background. We don't let every criminal, every drug addict, or every crazy person to come into Liberland and become citizens.
So if you're a real country for libertarians, the argument would be drug dealers, yes, drug addicts, no.
We're judging by the case. Of course, I have nothing with the people consuming drugs, but we simply want to make sure that the people in Liberland are nice and they don't have a criminal record. So if the drug addict starts to steal just to get his dope, it's something that would disqualify him from becoming a Liberland citizen.
Yeah, but would Liberland have full drug legalization?
Yeah, we want to use all the examples of very liberal drug policy.
Portugal?
Portugal is one. Argentina, Holland. We are actually combining all these good examples of how things can be treated, and we are putting it into one legal system. And you can read all about it in our brochure online. If you click on it, it's one of those articles at the beginning.
Are you going to have prisons?
Well, probably some small detention, but we were thinking about outsourcing them somewhere where we can actually make something out of it instead of paying for it.
Oh, that's really smart. Okay. The question you have to get asked all the time, is this a joke?
It's not a joke. I mean, like some of the countries that we are dealing with, like North Korea, that might be a probably proper question. Is that something real happening in the modern...
Well, it's no joke, that's for sure.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like, for example, Egyptian government says that Liberland is a scam. So why the hell there is 100,000 people applying for Liberland citizenship and trying to get out of Egypt?
Well, I mean, sure, but I mean, maybe they're dumb. Are you going to let in 100,000 Egyptians?
I'm not. I'm just saying, like there is a great incentive for people to upgrade their status of being through basically improving the governance system, and that incentive has been actually presented with Liberland, right? There is an alternative in the governance, and we are still in the process. We need a couple more years to put things in place, but I believe that once the things are in place and we have the right constitution with the right set of technical things around it, that we might proven to be the best nation state on the planet.
What were some of the other names you guys were toying around with to call the country?
We didn't really have an alternative from the beginning. No.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Who came up with the name?
It's Jiří Krejbich, a friend of mine.
Okay. Like, how did this whole idea come up? I'm imagining everyone sitting around with a big bong.
Yeah, we were actually in a pizzeria. I can remember that particular moment.
And a pizzeria?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were with a friend of mine, Jiří, and we were thinking how to make it happen. But I also remember maybe like 15 years ago, I was driving in a train and I was just thinking, there is all this, everybody talks about overpopulation, but we're driving here in the middle of fields for hours. So why nobody can do a small country over here and just be a competition to the existing jurisdiction, right? There is so much space on this planet. We don't have any problem with overpopulation like we're presented all the time. We have a problem with shitty governance, right? It's a number one issue that we are dealing with. It's creating enormous damage. The fact that the European Union, for example, says that 4% of GDP is damaged every year because of overregulation, that's destroying half of the continent every 20 years. It's like dropping an atomic bomb every 20 years on half of Europe. And nobody really realizes that implication. Everybody is into global warming and how it's going to make an impact in 100 years from now. But that's like a million times smaller impact than the shitty governance than we are dealing with on this planet.
Will Liberland be signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or will I be able to get my own suitcase nuke?
No, that's one of those exceptions that we've got in the Constitution. That's something that will be regulated.
Oh, so regulated. So I will be able to get my privatized suitcase nuke.
it says that you are not able to have any bigger weapon than the Liberland police.
Oh, okay. So what? But there are no Liberland police.
There are Liberland Rangers. They already have some vehicles as well. We are actually getting a former military boat from Hungary, so they will have also a nice vehicle.
Where are these Rangers currently physically residing?
They are residing on the Serbian side of the river, next to Liberland, basically. And for example, for the summer festival, there will be a group of them basically taking care of the security of the music festival that will be happening next to Liberland.
Oh, so tell me about this music festival.
That's going to be from 15th to 18th of August. People will be able to visit Liberland on boats. They will be able to visit the airport.
But they can't physically step in, or else they'll be arrested.
That really depends on the security situation in Liberland. I was in Liberland 15 times last year, so you can actually come in.
Okay.
The question is if you are able to get out of there.
Yeah, that's okay. Understood.
Or if the Croatian police will help you. But on the other hand, it's not a big dealer. I mean, it's €100 bed and breakfast. You get out the next day.
Can't you just tell them I'm a sovereign citizen and then they'll leave you alone?
They will probably not listen and they will take you anyway.
Okay.
But it's still funny because you are basically being arrested for being Liberlander, right?
I thought you were arrested for trespassing.
Yes, but if, for example, if you are not Liberlander, they will not usually arrest you. They only arrest Liberlanders.
Wait a minute. So if I get 5 Liberlanders to change their minds, can I be the new president?
No, because the whole system is being built on EOS. All the elections will be happening there. People that pay taxes so far will be the one deciding on the governance structure, the next governance structure.
Want to take a second to tell you guys about Monday.com. And if you go to Monday.com, you get a free 7-day trial. I really liked this program. It's a team management tool, and here's how it works. You know how everyone you work with is a screw up? I can't relate to that, but I'm sure you can. So what it does, instead of having a bunch of email spreadsheets, what to-do lists, everything is organized and tracked in one place. So you can keep track of who has ownership over what aspect of a project and what their progress is at all times without having to check in with them. Are they working on it? Did they get the email? You assign the task and you track the project. You can stay organized. You can find files. The files are all there. It organizes everything in one place. Fight for 15, this is basically replacing that admin. Except instead of her having an attitude, you have a program. You don't have to have the long, boring meetings trying to figure out new tactics to stay organized, who's going to be doing what. It's all assigned. Take a look at it. It's really a clever interface. If you go to monday.com/welcome, you get a free 14-day trial. And if you use my exact link, they're going to have additional savings if you choose to sign up. You are welcome. Hey guys, let me take a second to tell you about Blinkist. If you go to blinkist.com/malice, BLINKIST/malice, you get a free 7-day trial. What is it? Well, Blinkist is the only app that takes the best key takeaways and need-to-know information from thousands of books and gets it down to 15 minutes, so you can just listen to it or read it. You know how you had Cliff Notes in high school to help you cheat on those tests? Well, lots of books out there, especially my own, you don't need to sit down and read the whole thing. If you go to Blinkist.com, BLINKIST.com/malice, they're going to hook you up with a 7-day trial. So all those books that everyone's talking about on your Facebook, on your Twitter, do you really need to sit down and read them all? No. Do this, 15 minutes, and now you can get in small talk in the office with the midwits, dimwits, and cretins. It's a great idea. If you go to Blinkist.com/malice, it's free. How's that? That's pretty good. Let's get back to the show.
But so when the election was 4 years ago.
Yes.
And how long's your term for?
Actually, it says until we get the new system up and running.
Okay, so president. Okay, interminably, indefinitely. Excuse me.
It's kind of, but we don't in the new system. We actually don't even have like a presidential post. So the governance is done by the Congress, which will choose basically its leadership, and there will be kind of a Secretary of State, which will take care of the foreign relations. There will be foreign minister. Right now, the system really doesn't count with the position of president.
Okay, are you planning on issuing your own currency?
Yeah, we already did. We've got nice merits. I think there is like 20 different coins already.
Okay.
And there is already also a digital version of it.
But there's physical Liberland currency?
Yes, and since I visited 3 countries, I would really love to give you one, but it's all gone.
Okay.
All gone. Everybody wants it. But right now there is also a version in which there is the digital form of the currency inscribed on the physical coin. There is a silver version, there is a gold version, there is a copper version. So it's a big, I would say, big thing in Liberland, and we are not regulating it. So a lot of people are creating it in one way or another. Of course, it's more like a collectible item right now, but the last version has a Fredrik Bastiat on it for the 4th anniversary.
No, I'm a big fan of Bastiat. I mean, are you planning on having stamps as well?
We have plenty of stamps also historically.
What do you mean historically?
Well, a lot of people created
so everything's private?
Yes.
So far?
Yeah.
So I can make Liberland stamps, I can make Liberland currency, you give me permission?
You don't need permission for that, no.
Well, I mean, so you're never going to really have do you plan on having an official currency, or are you going to have crypto?
The merits are basically the tokens that are distributed after you pay taxes. So that's the ecosystem that we are building. So you, not just that the taxes are voluntary, you're always getting a share of the country back. But if you're paying as a taxes, you're getting it in a staked form. So you cannot actually trade them. They are stuck with your reputation, with your account. But you can also get the tradable version, which you can later turn into taxes. Or you can buy something with them. So it is already traded on a couple of exchanges. And we were planning, after the governance system is finalized, we're planning to launch it big on many bigger crypto exchanges. And right now, for example, there is a crypto exchange, a big Asian crypto exchange, which is moving its jurisdiction to Liberland. I'm very excited about those developments that the crypto arena is moving legislation-wise to Liberland.
Do you have to be on the spectrum to be a Liberlander?
Spectrum?
Yeah.
What do you mean spectrum?
The autistic spectrum.
I wouldn't say that.
It just correlates.
It's. I mean, I don't think I'm autistic. For
Not
example,
you, but I mean, certainly libertarians, it correlates very heavily.
Yes, you're right. And for example, I tried to help my Libertarian Party in Czech Republic, and I realized again, after 5 years, that has made not much chance, right? We are 1% out of 1%. But I wouldn't say directly autistic. We are different.
Explain to me the Pirate Party in Czech Republic. It came out of nowhere. Yeah. Now they're in 3rd place. The leader, until recently, was a white guy with dreadlocks. Mm-hmm. Some of the things Pirate Party stands for, I would think you and I would love, like they're anti-IP, and some of it sounds like commie crap.
No. It's all comic crap.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because that's like that meme. It's like pretty cool, but that sounds like comic bullshit to me. Oh, so but pirates, the black flag.
They're serious about it, and the sad thing is
because they're the main left-wing party in the Czech parliament now.
Yes, and they are basically following up on the communism. They're giving it this great
hipster kind of reputation.
Hipster, but let's build the European army aspect to it, right? So it's this.
Wait, pirates are for an army?
Yes.
What kind of pirate wants an army? You want to fight the army if you're a pirate.
But that's not the case with them, right? They're the ones that propose the craziest tax laws. They want everybody to be controlled with their phones on their tax residency. That's something that they proposed also a couple of months ago.
So what would that mean? I mean, I would be for that I'm a citizen of Sprint instead of citizen of the U.S.
Yeah, but they want to make sure that if you're, for example, not paying taxes in Czech Republic, that you will be always controlled with your phone. The state will have always the data where you are physically located, so they can assess if you should pay taxes in Czech
Seriously?
Republic.
I thought they were very big on privacy.
Yeah, building a fascist state out of Czech Republic.
I thought the whole pirate politics was very big on privacy, personal data.
No, it's the other way around, actually. It's a sad story.
How would a pirate be... The whole point of being a pirate historically is you're not part of a country. You're in the ocean. No one knows where you are. So there, it's the exact opposite. Where
But you know what's the sad thing about it? Rick Falkenberg, he's the founder, right, of the Swedish.
is that the dreadlock guy?
No.
the
That's
Swedish guy?
Rick Falkenberg is the founder of Swedish Pirate Party, which was basically the founding
Right.
party of this movement. And he's a libertarian. He's a nice guy. But what has been created out of the Pirate Party movement, it's a little bit. I'm a little bit scared. But on the other hand, we've got lots of friends with the Pirate Party movement that they support the idea of Liberland. That's I have to say that after I've been a little bit critical about their European policies, they believe that Liberland should have a right for existence.
Well, the Pirate Party is also very big in Iceland right now. I think at one point they were first in the polls.
They are gone now.
No, they're at fourth or fifth.
Yeah, but they lost the drive. They were second biggest party at the time. And right now they are not relevant political party anymore. But in Czech Republic, in Germany, right, it's happening. Like
Czech's the big one because they're the main opposition left of center party.
Yeah.
So
I have to give them a little bit of credit. At least they're really. I mean, they're pushing the prime minister around with these EU subsidies, but their solution to the problem is to create a European FBI, right? That would be super. Be overlooking the nation states basically and punishing people like the Babiš, so giving even more power to the European Union to basically create its own, not just army but also its police.
I had this completely wrong because if you look at this dude, whatever his name is in Czech Republic, the name's Pirate. He looks like a hacker in these stupid movies. It really sounds like they're the ones who are going to be anti-IP, secure in your data, anti-Facebook, anti-Google. And how do they feel towards social media censorship? Do they not talk about it?
I mean,
and who's voting for them?
It's just became popular, and honestly the problem is that the voters are sometimes like babies, they don't have a clue what is going on. They just like to vote for some certain color or for somebody who looks nice. And by the way, the leader of Pirate Party is a great musician, so he was able to attract a lot of people on that. But I'm just a little bit worried because what is happening is that people had no clue on what is their political ideology or affiliation are falling for a Pirate Party which is just fancy, and they're kind of getting the same kind of ideas like the Pirate Party is pushing on them without them actually even understanding that they are now for things that would be completely unthinkable a couple of years ago.
I mean, give me an example.
I mean, the European army is not a very popular idea. When the new head of the European Commission says that the Germany excuses itself for the Second World War, and the next sentence she says that right now we are going to build a European army, you have a little bit of shivering, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what is now happening on the global scale in Europe, and unfortunately the pirates are the main driving force for it.
What nation do you foresee Liberland having a culture closest to?
Narnia.
Why Narnia?
Because it's those places where you can come up with anything crazy and people will still take you.
Do you think magic will be happening in Liberland in the near future?
It's already happening.
So you're a Czech citizen, correct?
Yes.
So one of the stories, I just read this book by one of my favorite historians, Viktor Sebecin, who's Hungarian, called 1946. And he talks about, what happened right after World War II. And few Americans understand this or know this. I didn't know this. Czech Republic, the first president of Czechoslovakia, what was his name?
That was Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk.
Yeah, I can't pronounce that. They got all the Germans, including Germans who have been there for many, many years, and said, get the hell out of Czech Republic.
Well, actually Beneš.
Yeah, and made them march back to Germany, and they put signs on their back, and many of them died.
Yeah, that's a part of the history, yes.
So, but the point is, the Czechs do not like the Germans very much.
Well, but of course, we were the ones marching around with the signs during the Second World War, right? There was a lot of people dead because of the occupation of Czech Republic, and there was just the fact that they decided to collaborate all the way, right after Hitler took power. That I think it was of course these things are the collective guilt is something terrible and it's never fair, but right now to try to blame Czechs for these things 50 years later, I think it's completely wrong.
Oh, and I'm not blaming anyone. I just think it's a fascinating anecdote that Czech Republic, first you had to be under the boot of Hitler, and then for decades under the boot of Stalin and the Soviet Union. That it's a very interesting history of this country.
Yeah, and just one story to it. Have you been to Prague?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. Have you seen this pendulum, or what is it
That
called?
famous clock thing?
Yeah, that famous clock.
Yeah.
Do you know there is a statue of Hitler, the biggest at the time, built under it?
Oh no, I did not.
Yeah, the Czechs built the hugest statue of Hitler in Europe. And it took them 7 years to build. It was there for 7 years. And then it took them 7 days to try to get it down. And they never managed to do it. So the statue is still there, the remains of it, because it was so massive that there was
Hitler or Stalin?
Stalin.
Oh, you said Hitler.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry
No,
for
the
it.
Stalin
Stalin.
statue. Yeah, they bombed it. Yeah.
So you know the story.
Yeah.
So it's a bit crazy when you realize I'm also part of the nation that has built the biggest statue for the biggest mass murderer or second biggest mass murderer on this planet. So maybe that might be one of the reasons also why I'm starting a new nation.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel that I belong that much.
If you go to Prague, to everyone listening, there is a great Museum of Communism, which is above a McDonald's in Prague.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about it is in America, or I'm sure in other places, when you go to a museum, it's very scholarly, right? It'll be like, oh, this was this was that. With this museum, it's like, Marxism taught, according to the bullshit theories that we lived in, everyone would be happy and have food. In reality, under this lunacy, where we're all spying on each other by law and starving. So you go and the tone, and they have like a torture room, to set up to show what the kind of the KGB or the Czech equivalent would be like. This is what they did to people. It's not at all presented in a very calm manner. It's like these people were not only evil but also crazy, and this is what we had to survive. And in fact, the cobblestones, is my understanding, in Prague are on the roads so that the tanks could drive easier.
Yeah, that's crazy. And of course, we should just mention that the prime minister is former KGB agent, right? Like the Czech version of it.
Yeah.
So we are having the same people now in the leadership of the country with the second biggest party, the Pirates, in place. So,
and the communists, the literal communists, they're one of the few former communist parties that calls themselves communist, are number 6, I believe, in the Czech parliament. Who's voting for them? Simon says it's just stupid old people.
Not really. No, it's but right now they are getting marginalized because the Babiš, the real communist leader, basically which started this Yes Party, he's been sucking the voters from everybody with a good PR marketing. By the way, he started with the same marketing agency like Barack Obama. Oh, yeah, and so right now they are not big players anymore, but they're still there. They're successful in getting into parliament. They've got their 5% always.
Who's the guy who's the head of the Communist Party right now in Prague, in Czech Republic? Whenever I look at photos of him, he looks like he's got fetal alcohol syndrome. He looks really, really stupid. Are they dangerous, or is this like old and embarrassing?
These guys are actually smart,
Oh, they are.
At least you can, they know the history. They know they're just kind of smart and evil at the same time.
Oh.
So it's like kind of like at least where you stand when you're talking with them.
Right. And are they apologists for the communist era in Czechoslovakia?
No, not at all.
Oh, they say we would do it nice.
Yeah. But the worst thing is that when you realize that whatever now their program is, it might be more right-wing than rest of the political spectrum. That's what really gets you going, right? Like when the program of the communist is for more independence of Czech Republic.
Yeah, they're nationalists.
For less taxes than there is, right? So they are actually... of course, the question is what they would do in the reality, but the program at least is a nice right-wing kind of in our new political spectrum.
We're running out of time. Thank you so much for coming in. So what has been your favorite part of this interview?
Well, I enjoyed the whole thing. It was great time being with you. I hope you will visit Liberland one day.
You are welcome.